So I'm ready. All right. You guys ready? Let's do this thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a very special annual fantasy football edition of the BCP. We have the all-star stellar panel back with us, and guys, it's so good to be with you. We are COVID-free, we are safe, we are finally together. Gentlemen, let's please first welcome to the show former Shore Fantasy Football League champion, I believe current Mario Kart 64 champion, the good brother, the goodest cousin, Mr. Tim Urig. What's up, bro? How are you?
Hey, what's going on? I am beyond excited to be here to talk football, especially during these times where we've been just locked up inside and going about our business and trying to stay healthy. And believe it or not, it seems like we're going to get football. So let's go.
I remember having conversations where we're just like, are we going to have football months ago, man? So it's good to see you guys. It's good to be here. But please welcome back to the show one of the best frontmen on the local band scene right now for Blacktooth Grin. He is the producer for the Rock and Roll Morning Show with Jim Kerr on Q104.3, hashtag Dad Goals. Congratulations and please welcome back to the show, Mr. Trevor Martin. What's up, bro? How are you? Round of applause.
Thank you, kindly. Yeah.
Congrats, bro.
Going to be a dad.
I love it.
So I had to do something during COVID. So why not complicate my life a little bit more by bringing a child into the world. So.
I love it, man. No, congratulations. Very happy for you. I think that's the best news out of 2020 I've heard. So that's great. No, good. And guys, let's talk a little fantasy football here. I'm so excited for this. First and foremost, before we get into the drafts and the positions and all that different kind of stuff, do you guys think we're gonna get 16 games this year? And playoffs. It's tough, yeah.
So, I mean, listen, if we look at the other sports, they seemingly are powering through. And I look at baseball, that they are powering through, and they're going to do it more similar to football because there's no bubble. We could shout out NHL and NBA. The bubble is working fantastically, and they will get a champion at the end of the year. Football might be tough. I think that there's so much money to be made that no matter what, we are going to get the full season and Super Bowl just because of the amount of money on the table. If you watch Hard Knocks, they have protocols in place, and it seems like they're doing what they need to do. I know Hard Knocks and the NFL show what they want to show, so you're seeing all the good stuff. But I think we're gonna get it. I think we'll be good to go. But plan for not having it, which we can talk about in a little bit. Have contingency plans just in case. But I think we're going to get it.
Absolutely, Trevor.
I think it's going to be really interesting with the fact that the other sports are continuing to go on. It all comes down to, if I was a team and I had the option, I'd buy, just like the movie Major League, like get the crappiest plane or whatever, but make it your plane. That's the one that they take every week. That's the one you scrub down, and that's the one that you travel with, and what have you. I do think that we are headed in the right direction in the country, on the East Coast here at least, where we are. We're taking it super seriously. Everyone's wearing the mask. They're following the right protocols. Our infection rate's down. It's all going to change once it gets a little bit colder. So do I think the season's going to happen? I think I don't think it's going to get completely shut down, but it's going to come down to probably like halfway through, probably around October, if some kind of major spike happens and it gets shut down. So I think we're going to get the first month indefinitely, and then we're going to take it from there. I mean, listen, this changes month to month so much that who knows, we have things planned for the future, and they're like, well, what about COVID? I'm like, well, a month ago, we were in the worst state in the world, and here we are, now we're the best state in the world. Like, so it's,
it's crazy.
And, that fudging maybe a little bit of the statement there, but you get what I mean.
Exactly, and our good friend, a big part of the show, Brother Nunes, he put it perfectly. He says, I feel like things are getting better and worse at the same time. It's very, very strange. But
it's just because, I'm not even talking about the country, the world, it's hitting everywhere different.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. California is just been hit the whole entire time. But there's people out there that didn't take it seriously. The New York State and New Jersey got hit super hard, but we took it, I would say, more stricter than anybody, whether you agree with governors, mayors, or whatever. They put in these super, super strict restrictions, and now I went from no one wanted to be here to like, this is the place where you should be probably. I mean, we're under 1% infection rate. That's insane. Like we're doing it right. So it's really going to come down to the flu season and the cold and just people taking it seriously. It's the colleges that just really show you that like not taking it seriously, here comes a spike. So as long as you take it seriously, like we can get through this. We're going to get through this, and then science will eventually give us more of a breathing room with the vaccine eventually.
Very well said, man, and I appreciate you saying that, guys. But let's get into our football picks here. Let's have some fun. Let's have a nice little distraction here. Like we're talking sports, we're talking football. Now, last time I saw you gentlemen, there was a beautiful lady around my shoulder here. Of course, back in December, in someone else's arms. I am heartbroken, and of course, that's the America Pro League Championship hanging out over at Vax right now. He's cutting promos. He's wearing the suits. Rubbing it in my face, so I do not have a championship this year. How did you guys make out last year in your leagues?
I, once again, in my standard rules league, with the auction draft, once again, shit the bed. And no matter how well I do, I thought last year was my year. I was staying strong, and then I had some major injuries. My quarterback situation did not pan out well. I put a lot of value in running backs, and I was solid on the running back core, but due to some injuries, and just really kind of slacking on the quarterbacks with Baker Mayfield not really panning out for me.
Yeah.
Which, I was hoping for. Did not go well there. But as always, in my PPR League 2 quarterback, I did finish in third place. It was a very, very rough battle as the playoff game came down to a point. And
Really?
and I lost on that point, and I screamed loudly.
Yeah, I've been there. Timmy, I know you got something to say.
Oh goodness. Up and down year last year, as most years are. In our league, I got to the championship, and as you referenced before, Mike Vack won, but not without a little bit of controversy and a little bit of luck, because I had 3 guys go down, leave the week in the first half, and Vac only won by like 10 points. And if those guys were in there, I definitely would have taken home the championship. But you know what? Vac did the work. He was deserving.
First time.
So you know what? I can't be mad if it's going to go to anybody other than me. I'd probably have it go to you, then me, then Vac. But Vac, he won't be champion after this year, so it's okay. Other leagues, you know what? Bad luck, just mostly, just bad luck all over the place. I think I made the playoffs in every league but one. Got down to close to money in another. Just up and down, bad luck here and there where, I scored the 3rd most points in the league that week and probably lost to somebody who just scored a little bit higher. But I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe we'll see a future champion in Mr. Trevor Martin, who will be joining the league next season. So I'm very excited.
It has been a long time coming. I've wanted to join this league and show you guys how much of a fantasy football prick I could be.
I'm excited to see him, bro. Very welcome.
Like somebody who doesn't deserve to go to Harvard, you've been waitlisted. But
yes.
Now, we're calling you in.
Yes.
I'm excited, and I've seen some of the promos that were made. I
apologize.
already have 47 ideas.
My dude, yes.
We're ready.
Wear the
Exactly.
suit, the glasses, whatever you got to do.
No.
But guys, let's get into it. You guys mentioned quarterbacks. Let's talk about the quarterback position. We'll do quick, quarterback, running backs, wide receivers. Let's talk about our quarterbacks. Are we sticking with the likes of the Mahomes right now? Tim's calling me a little bit of a Christina Ricci with my Aaron Rodgers pick. So who you guys got your eyes on for the top quarterback positions this year? Trevor.
Top quarterback positions, I think it's kind of obvious. If Mahomes is there, you take Mahomes. If Lamar Jackson's there, you definitely got to take the flyer on Lamar Jackson. But honestly, after that, I don't think it's as clear on anyone else, to be honest with you. I did do one draft already. It's my PPR league. It's my 2 quarterback league. And I held off on quarterbacks. I had first pick of the draft. So I had legitimately all the options on the table for myself. Now, the problem with that is I just found out it's September. I still thought it was March for a hot second. Like, my days of the week and my mindset is so different. And then with no... I'm not a big baseball guy, but there hasn't been much baseball except for the last month. So I never went through that like pain of sports radio, me hearing baseball every single day to like get me so more excited for football. And there's no preseason in football, so like even that, I forgot Hard Knocks was on until you just told me. So
Yeah.
the fact that when we're recording this, we're less than a week away from the season kicking off for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
It just hit me that football is back and that it's going to happen, and like I'm just getting into the mindset of it. So when I was sitting here thinking like, oh no, I have to draft, how am I going to prepare? I'm kind of going with my same strategy though of running backs are more important in the first round. Only because too, with no practice, preseason and the season are so different. But preseason, I do think is important. Does that have to be 4 games? We can go back and forth with that all you want. I don't necessarily think it does. But you do need scrimmage games against other opponents to get ready. It gives the players a mindset in that, and it helps get your body ready. So, with that being said, I didn't go quarterback right away. I went with Christian McCaffrey as my number 1 overall pick right off the bat. Figure I'd take a flyer on him. I am a Giants fan. Saquon was there. There's a lot of options. But I did go McCaffrey, and then, of course, number 2, number 3 went right away with Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. So, quarterback-wise that we're talking here, besides that, I don't think it's clear-cut as it is. I actually skipped over a few people that were probably kind of higher, like Josh Allen, who I think is ranked really high, to be honest with you. And I went with the likes of Drew Brees and Matt Ryan because I wanted veterans. I know I probably have the oldest quarterback staff in my whole entire league, but you know what? Drew Brees knows how to prepare his body, prepare his mind, and prepare for a season without preseason and without practice. He can walk on there. I think the same thing with Matt Ryan for who was on the table that was available at the time. So yeah, I went with those 2 guys. I think veterans are going to be highly underrated this year because they're going to be ready for the season more than these rookie guys, more than maybe someone who's only played a year or 2 in the league. Perfect example, I'm really high and think that there's a lot of potential for Daniel Jones.
I was
but
gonna
like,
ask, yeah.
I think I might go with someone with a little bit more experience if I'm looking for a starting quarterback. I think that there's some quarterbacks that have been in the league a long time, like Roethlisberger and Aaron Rodgers, that are top 15 now, and obviously Daniel Jones is working his way up. And if it came down to a veteran versus DJ, I think I'd go with the veteran. So I'm sticking on the older side just because this is the wackiest season, but they're going to be more mentally, physically in the right headspace and in the right physical place because they know where they have to be because they've been doing it for so long.
Dude, very well said. Do you agree with some of Trevor's picks?
So listen, if you want Lamar Jackson, you want Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna have to go get them, and you're gonna have to go get them early. There's been a trend in fantasy football and football in general where a lot of your quarterbacks are getting more fantasy points because of their legs. So guys like Lamar Jackson, of course. Patrick Mahomes, a little bit less. He's more in the air than Lamar Jackson. Dak Prescott, not so much, but you see a real uptick with Kyler Murray because of that running aspect. Other guys who also do it a little bit to kind of get your points up a little bit, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, those are all guys that can use their legs. So, you see these guys going a little bit earlier in their average draft position because of, the points that they can get from running the ball. But if you want one of those top 2 guys, you're going to have to go get them, and you're going to have to use your draft capital on those guys early. And it doesn't shock me that they went 2-3. I know realistically those 2 will likely be gone in your first 2 rounds. So depending on your draft strategy, which we could talk about in a little bit, if you want them, you're going to have to go get them. I, this year, am on the train of just waiting because there's a lot of guys in the back half of the draft you can get who are going to produce and put up some numbers. We call them high floor guys where you kind of know what you're going to get. A Drew Brees should throw 28 plus touchdowns this year.
Yeah. Easy.
I'll take it. And where I'm getting Drew Brees, I'm not going to get 40 touchdowns like I would get with Patrick Mahomes, which is roughly where I have him. But I know what I'm getting, and I'm going to use those early picks on running backs and receivers because I think there's a lot more quarterbacks out there. So, personally, I value the quarterback. I wouldn't say less because, they are the quarterback of the team and you can get a ton of points from them. But I am of the boat that you should be getting better players at different positions Just because on a week-to-week basis, if you decide to stream, you're going to find a guy out there who will put up points. I think if you streamed properly last year, you could have gotten overall in fantasy football like the quarterback like 6 or 7. So if you're telling me by streaming I can get the quarterback 6 or 7 for the entire season, that's a no-brainer for me. I don't want to say waste early pick on one of these 2-3 premier quarterbacks. But also, if you like them, go get them. I mean, they're fun to watch. They're fun to root for. 2 years ago when I won my league because I had Patrick Mahomes, he was putting up 3-4 touchdowns a game, easy, 5 touchdowns a game, and, I loved it. It was really fun to watch. And I did have one share of Lamar Jackson last year, and he was fun to watch too. So, however you play the game, go for it. On a week-to-week basis, because it's a week-to-week game, if you like sitting and rooting for guys and watching all the touchdowns pile up, you might want to go get these early guys. Or if you like the long game and you like the strategy of other positions, wait it out. But personally, I'll be waiting it out.
I think something you have to keep in mind too, and like I said, like last year I took Baker and he didn't pan out the way I wanted him to. But if you're playing the long game, right? Say you have middle of the road pick and you're 6, you're 7. I personally hate being right in the middle on a snake draft like that.
Yeah.
But okay, so you got to focus on your running backs. You got to focus on maybe a wide receiver, and the quarterbacks start ticking off, right? And you're outside the top 10. Don't be afraid to take a flyer on someone, because in my auction draft last year, we had to submit our keepers by the end of the day today. And something that everyone forgot about in the league is one of our league members went, "Cool, I'm keeping Lamar Jackson for $5." He went as a backup quarterback drafted for $1.
Yep.
Last year. Add the $5, $6, and in the auction league, $6 for Lamar Jackson. That is beyond a steal.
Yeah.
All right. So, but if you think it out, so if you're in the middle of the road, definitely I would say like Tim, go for the running backs, go for this, and if all of a sudden you find yourself out of the top. Because there are some people who value the quarterbacks, obviously. And if you find yourself out of the top 10, wait it out. And then don't be afraid to take, I'm just going over the list right now, looking down at me. Like, if you're, you pick up Aaron Rodgers, or you pick up Daniel Jones or Roethlisberger at 15. Like, don't be afraid to go right back at it and try to take, like, Joe Burrow for nothing. Play the long game for the end of the season, because you don't know if he's going to explode. Or if he's not going to explode, like, go, for... even if he does, even if you have to save him maybe for next season in the keeper league, because you got to think 10 steps ahead sometimes when it's a keeper league. Yeah. I didn't, and I don't know who I'm gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna keep anyone this season, and because I did my best player to keep for the cheapest amount of money that makes sense, because I'm not gonna pay like $60 for Aaron Jones or anything like that. Is Tyler Lockett at $10? I'm kind of struggling with it because he breaks out one game, does 30, and then he'll do 3 the next week because Russell Wilson has options. So it's don't be the quarterback position has a lot of different options this year. I think the other positions are more important.
Yeah. And once again, it really depends on how you want to draft. I mean, look at these guys' average draft positions and see if you're comfortable taking a guy a little bit ahead. And obviously, if the value is there and you want to take them, go for it. Like I said before, having Lamar Jackson and having Patrick Mahomes and potentially Kyler Murray this year, because he seems to be trending up in the right direction. These guys are fun to watch. So if you're a hardcore fan and you really like more strategy, you might not want to take those guys. But if you are going at it and you're a casual fan and you want the excitement of having one of these premier guys, you're gonna pay for it in the draft. But you have the guy that you want, and you're gonna have fun watching on Sunday. Or Thursday or Monday, whenever they play. So.
There's quarterbacks that we've seen go big, and then they have average years. They can go big again. Garoppolo's one of them too. Sure. I had him the first year, and he went huge for me, and then he was average the next year. Then he got hurt, and then it sucked the next year. So there's just so many options. Yeah. And because with no preseason too, and no interest reports.
Yeah, you just don't know. And I mean, there's guys that are exciting. Do you want to share Tom Brady? What about you, Trevor? You want to share Tom Brady this year?
I mean, that team looks great,
I
right?
mean, I would take Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, see where he's at. See if you want to get him
2020,
around.
ladies and gentlemen.
See if you want to get him around earlier where he's at. Like, if you like a guy, go get him. But the name of the game is really drafting guys who are going to outperform where they're drafted. So if you get a quarterback, well, I'll use a different position just because there's more of them. If you get a running back that you draft as, say, the 15th running back off the board, and he turns out to be the number 2, number 3 running back in fantasy football, you win your league because you made that decision later in the draft. So it's really getting guys who are going to outperform their average draft position. So, I mean, also, there's guys who are league winners. Like, Patrick Mahomes threw 50 touchdowns a couple years ago. 50 touchdowns is a league winner. I'm not saying that he's going to, carry your team, but guess what? If you can have a supporting cast with a guy that throws 50 touchdowns, you're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're going to make a run, so I mean...
Yeah, I mean, you look at Mahomes' bye week, you kind of almost automatically look at it like, oof, that's probably a loss week.
Yeah. You guys mentioned running back so many times, so let's keep it moving here. Let's talk about the running back position. Tim, you and I off air were talking a little bit about McCaffrey. I'm wearing the Saquon jersey right now. Where do you see these guys? Are they going to cool off this year? Obviously, no preseason, different offenses. What are your thoughts on the running back position and the likes of a Christian McCaffrey?
So listen, Christian McCaffrey was otherworldly last year, and I can't see them feeding him as much as they did. Would I like him to get the opportunities he got last year? Yes, but new scheme, new offense, new quarterback who does like to check down. I see him, regressing back a little bit. Not saying that he wouldn't or couldn't finish the number 1 running back in fantasy football, but we really don't see guys finishing back-to-back years as the number 1 running back. So it's going to be tough sledding. But, he's a machine, so feed him the rock and he'll make something happen. If I could comment on just running backs in general this year,
please.
There is a big downswing when it comes to running backs after, say, the 15th, 20th running back off the board.
I think you're being kind.
I think I'm being kind too, because it's very murky in that 12 to 20 range, and you really got to hit on somebody. So, in different leagues this year, I've tried a couple different strategies, but I'm leaning towards, in most leagues, just flat out taking 3 running backs straight, taking 5 wide receivers in a row, and then filling my quarterback tight end after that, because you just need 2 of those running backs to hit, and you should be golden. But it's crazy how the drop off is just ridiculous. And they're just not there. So if you haven't mock draft, you won't know until you get into a draft, but there are apps out there that'll help you mock draft. You can see there's just no running backs out there past the 3rd round, the 4th round. You have just murky waters, and you just don't know what you're going to get out of these guys. So, I personally recommend just trying to get these running backs early if you can. It doesn't mean pass up on a guy. If you're sitting at 7, 8, 9, and Michael Thomas is there, Michael Thomas. He's the number 1 receiver on the board for a reason. And you want to go get him, go ahead. But just know that when it comes back to your 3rd and 4th pick, you need to be getting running backs, and they're not going to be there. You're going to have to hit on somebody who's a backup right now, or somebody who has a lot of concern, whether it be injuries or poor production in the past.
Like I said, I had number 1 pick, and I went with McCaffrey. Now, here's my reason behind it. As being a Giants fan, too, you're not supposed to draft with your heart. I think the Giants have a whole bunch of weapons. Will they all stay healthy? Knowing the Giants, probably not. But at the same time, we've seen Saquon try to play through an injury, and he wasn't Saquon that we all know and love. Whereas we've seen McCaffrey, and I'm going to say it knock on wood, take some really brutal hits, and the guy's a rock. It's hard for him to go down, and we've also seen him play hurt a little bit, and he's still, I think, at that same level. So going off what I've seen so far, and just the physicalness of it, and the options that they have, player to player, body to body, I went with McCaffrey. Now, you look at the quarterback situation, I think Daniel Jones is going to go to the air a little bit more. He's got some other weapons now. He's got a whole bunch of other options, a year under his belt. So I don't think it's going to go to him as much. Or it gives him more options to go to Saquon that as well. Teddy Bridgewater, we've seen what he's done. In Minnesota, we saw what he did when he took over when Drew Brees was hurt. Does check down a lot when he needs to. He's got some legs underneath him as well. So it gives Carolina a lot more options. But I think at the end of the day, if it comes down to the 5-yard line or the 2-yard line or whatever, it's going to go to McCaffrey 2 out of the 3 times before they try to kick the field goal. And that, to me, is not necessarily the answer with Saquon either. I think that they have too many other options. So I went with McCaffrey. Do I think he might end the year at number 1 again? I hope. Hey, but it is hard for people to repeat.
PPR format, I say yes.
Yeah.
Standard, I say no.
With the likes of Zeke and Dalvin Cook and Kamara, Zeke is constantly in the top 5 for like the last 3 seasons, I think. Probably longer. I don't see the consistency with him sometimes, and that's why I kind of stay away from him. Kamara, I believe right now while we're recording this, is still got some contract issues. And here we are, like I said, less than a week away from the season.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on. Dalvin Cook was hurt last year for a short period of time.
Tail end of the year, but he was a superstar when he was healthy.
Yep. So if he's there, take him. But I agree with Tim. There is a big drop off, I feel like, in running back. So I went, like I said, 2 quarterback leagues. So quarterback is a lot of points. I went running back, back to back, right off the bat, and I was able to pick up Christian McCaffrey and Kenyon Drake.
In good shape.
It came down to, like, with the people that were getting ticked off, it came down to Drake and Aaron Jones, really, of my options at that point. And I've had Aaron Jones for multiple seasons, to be honest with you. And I just think Drake has more of the high risk, high reward upswing. I feel like he's on the upswing more. Leaving Miami was fantastic for him. He's now very comfortable in Arizona. So I think he's just going to keep chugging along on the success that he was having at the end of last season, and I'm hoping to cash in on that, as he's probably going to, I'm looking again down the road, I think he can move top 5 next year. Next year we're going to be talking about Kenny Drake instead of Ezekiel Elliott.
It's funny what changes in the course of the year. I remember always talking to you guys about that Green Bay running back situation. NFL owner, Green Bay Packers owner, 1 share of stock. Great trip, by the way. That was awesome last year. Because it ain't happening this year. But we talk about what was it? The Aaron Jones, was it Jamal Williams? I believe was the other at the time.
Who was gonna get?
Who's gonna get the balls, the back and forth. And
you
Aaron
can go
Jones
back to Eddie Lacy.
Eddie Lacy, yeah. But it's so crazy. I gave Mike so much crap for drafting Aaron Jones last year. I was like, no, you don't know who's gonna get it. Well, was I ever wrong?
Yeah.
But I'll be the first.
But that's the first time where you were just like, wow, he's the running back of this team. Was last season.
Yes.
Well, it also came with injuries to that running back room. So, I mean, the opportunity presented itself, and then they found some gold. But guess what? They just drafted A.J. Dillon, who seems to be the guy they want to give the ball at the goal line. He's just a big physical back. So you don't know if he's going to get that, especially with preseason. We have no idea what their plan is. But we do know that the Green Bay Packers want to run the ball. Yeah. We do know that. So you just don't know.
I don't understand Joe Mixon, how he's still so high. He is so hot and cold. And I know it's because he's on such a terrible team for the last 2 seasons.
That offensive line is so trash. It's
so
trash.
I mean, I know he's got talent, but I don't understand how he's ranked as high as he is.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, here are your guys. They're studs in the first round that you can get, and then you might want to think about pivoting to the wide receiver position. And once again, it's all based on where you want to draft them and when you're comfortable. But, McCaffrey, Cook, Barkley, Zeke, Henry, who I think has regression this year as far as touchdowns, he can't sustain there. Kamara. I think those guys, while McCaffrey is in a tier all by himself and Saquon's, a little under that, those guys there, they're all, worthy of a first-round pick. And as long as they're healthy, they're not going to lose you leagues. So don't worry, pick a guy there. But, I mean, you don't know what you're getting out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We talked about Joe Mixon just now. Aaron Jones has to have touchdown regression because, he can't sustain what he did last year. Kenyon Drake was phenomenal in Arizona. Can he sustain that? Miles Sanders has some issues. Are they actually going to feature him and let him be, the number one guy and a bell cow? Who knows? Josh Jacobs is intriguing to me because there is, history with running backs coming in as rookies and producing well and then taking that next step forward. So I think if they can introduce, more catches and more receptions for him, Josh Jacobs could make a jump this year. Nick Chubb loses a little bit of, touches with what's his name?
I'm blanking too as soon as you said that.
Yeah.
But Chubb consistently too, though, for the last 3 seasons, he's gotten that's it, pretty much. But he's consistently gotten the same amount of touchdowns almost every year. Since he in 18, 10, in 19 he got 8, forecasted to do 12. So he's a little
bit more consistent.
He's a little bit more consistent. Coming out, when you look at Aaron Jones, like we said before, 19 last year, 9 year before that, 4 the year before that. So there's going to be some regression with him, but everything that you kind of went down the line and saying, right? So there's a lot of names we know about. I was always a big Austin Eckler fan. Now that he's going to be the guy there, I think there's also some regression because there is no Melvin Gordon because he always had to have that threat. But with him going to Denver, is he going to be able to produce? Leonard Fournette now, Tampa Bay, who knows? Chris Carson. I'm looking at some of these names. We know these names. We know Todd Gurley, but now he's in Atlanta. We know, could David Johnson come out or James Conner come out of nowhere? We don't know, but I think it's such a huge drop off.
Yeah, it's murky. So let's rattle off some names where there's just question marks. It's Gurley, it's Carson, it's James Conner. Can he stay healthy? Eckler in PPR formats, love him. He's gonna get the PPR work. David Johnson, I think. Eckler for San Diego. David Johnson, I think Bill O'Brien is going to try to run him to prove that he made the right choice. Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon, is he going to split time with Lindsey? Mark Ingram in a high-powered Baltimore Ravens offense is a little older. Can he stay healthy? And then you really get into really question mark guys who need things to break right, who have talent, don't get me wrong. They have...
You have more questions than confidence.
That's exactly what it is.
That's going to be my tagline for running backs. After the 6th... After 6, you have more questions than confidence.
That's exactly what
fair, yeah.
So, you have to hit on one of these guys.
But don't be afraid to take a flyer in a flex position. I took... how do you not take Mark Ingram if he's there?
True.
Yeah.
Because, he was a beast backing up Lamar Jackson, so...
Absolutely.
But there are guys, listen, if I'm throwing out a couple guys I like deep, I think Raheem Mostert looks and is the best running back in San Francisco. The problem is that Jerick McKinnon's back healthy, and Tevin Coleman is still there. They don't have any receivers to throw to right now. They're all hurt. You have a whole bunch of unproven rookies that we just haven't seen on the field. You see clips of practices, but, practice is only